Instagram Stories for Business. When it comes to stories for business, the biggest platform you are likely thinking of is Instagram. Yes, it might have been Snapchat that started it all, but Snapchat remains a relatively obscure option that only has so many users and it appeals to a very specific niche in the market. Instagram, on the other hand, is the second largest social media platform in the world, second only to Facebook. But while that might lead you to think that it would be Facebook that would be the ideal choice then, the fact that Instagram is initially designed from the ground up to be a visual platform makes a huge difference here. People use Instagram because they want to see images and videos. That makes it the perfect place to share stories and to promote your business in a visual manner. It gets better too, because this is the ideal time to start using Instagram Stories for business. Like any type of story, Instagram Stories have the potential to increase your engagement and to raise trust with your audience. At the same time though, they are also very much on the up and up in terms of user base. How to get started with Instagram Stories for business. Instagram has a relatively straightforward interface on mobile, which is the only option for sharing stories. That said, it does tend to hide a few options in plain sight, which can make it difficult to figure out the very first time. To find your stories, you might be looking for a button that says Stories, for instance. Instead, though, you'll get there by swiping right from the home screen or by tapping the icon in the top left that looks like a camera. You can now take a photo from the following screen by tapping the shutter button, or make a video by holding it down. Videos can be up to 10 seconds in duration. There are other options too. You can stream live, you can create a boomerang, you can super zoom, you can rewind, and you can hands-free video. If you prefer, you can pick an image from your camera roll in order to use a previously created video or picture. If the photo is over 24 hours old, then a sticker will appear on it with the day, month, and year. You can opt to simply remove that if you so wish. Just drag it onto the trash icon. Likewise, you can also add face filters to your stories. This works like the now famous filters on Snapchat in order to apply amusing accessories or to warp your face in a number of different ways. Swiping left and right will similarly apply extra filters to the entire image that can change the colors and look of your photos and videos. Tap anywhere on the screen to bring up a text tool and start typing. You can also change the size, color, and shape. Use the @ symbol to tag other accounts. Tagging other users is a good way to get noticed by them, which in turn can result in some free publicity should they decide to give you a shout out in return. You can also add a sticker that will provide your location. This can help you stand out in search and is also a great way to show off where you are if you're posting while traveling. Something that a lot of brands and influencers will do in order to let their viewers live vicariously through their travels. This is also a fun way to shout out a business that you're visiting, perhaps as part of a sponsorship. What's even more useful is the hashtag. Simply write with the hashtag symbol on your story, and it will work just like hashtags across the rest of Instagram. Now your story will be shown in collections of other stories using those hashtags, creating the opportunity for new users who share that interest to discover your content. Instagram now also lets users search for stories this way, so it's important that you know how to use them well. A quick primer on smarter hashtags. Hashtags are extremely powerful tools for bringing more people to your main page, your photos, or your sponsored post. A hashtag simply tells Instagram what a photo is about, which in turn means that it can then categorize it and let people search for it. The fact that you can now add hashtags to stories, therefore, is somewhat game-changing, and it means that you can help your stories to stand out and promote themselves in their own right. The key, though, is understanding how to use hashtags to your advantage. A mistake is to presume that the best hashtag is the most popular one. Fun fact, the most popular Instagram tag is love. In fact, though, this strategy will simply mean that your post gets buried before it has any chance to shine. By the time anyone has searched for your post with the hashtag selfie, 1,000 other people have already posted the exact same thing, and as such, your post is now nowhere to be seen. That said, of course, you don't want to choose a hashtag that no one is looking for either. This is why the best strategy is most often to go somewhere in the middle and to aim for a hashtag that has around 30,000 posts a day. FAQs. The question sticker that you can add to stories on Instagram is a brilliant feature as it denotes that you are open to questions. This Ask Me Anything story is a great place for you to clear up any misunderstandings around your products or services, as well as to help encourage people to make that final decision to buy. The sticker provides a small chat box where users can type up their questions, and even if an answer doesn't lead to a sale, it can be excellent for market research purposes. What aren't you communicating about your business as clearly as you could be? What are people interested in learning more about? Using stories for marketing, the basics. So how do you go about using stories for marketing? How do you take a form of communication that is designed to self-destruct like the start of Mission Impossible and use that as a way to draw in more visitors and to make more sales? Well, that's where you're going wrong to start with. If you're used to traditional forms of marketing, and if you have been creating ads and posts for Instagram and Facebook for a while now, then you might be accustomed to thinking in a more straightforward and direct manner. Marketing makes leads, and ads make sales. But in truth, stories are not for either of those things. Stories are perfectly suited not for increasing the number of followers you have or for selling directly to those followers. So if that's the case, what is this form of marketing for? The simple answer is that it is for building stronger relationships with your existing followers. It's about deepening that connection, and that's huge when it comes to increasing profits in the long term. You might have heard of the book 1,000 True Fans by Kevin Kelly. In it, the author describes the value of creating meaningful relationships with your followers. He describes how as long as a business genuinely manages to obtain 1,000 true fans, it will likely be able to succeed. What is this based on? Simply the notion that a true fan is not only someone that will buy nearly every one of your products, but also someone who will like all your posts and who will rave about those same products to anyone who will listen. In short, a true fan is a brand ambassador. And it's through brand ambassadors that your business can begin to grow exponentially. How do you get to this point with your followers, though? And what does it have to do with stories? There are a lot of ways you build true fans. One is by having a very clear mission statement for your business. One is by knowing precisely who your business is for, meaning that you understand the psychology of your buyer persona. But the other is through meaningful interactions. And in the case of stories, that can also mean building a personal brand. Stories for trust, engagement, and personal brands. It is common knowledge that most buying behavior is based on emotion rather than logic. We buy things because we see them in the store, think they look desirable, feel tired, and are worried we'll miss out if we don't buy. That's why, often, when we go away and really think about a purchase prior to making it, we decide better of it. With emotion being such a key factor when it comes to spending, it should be no huge surprise to learn that we are more likely to buy when we feel that we really know, understand, and like the seller. Better yet, if we feel that the seller has views that agree with our own. This puts us at ease. We feel better about buying from someone we know because we feel it's less likely they're going to try and con us. Likewise, we often want to please the seller. Finally, if we feel that their beliefs are aligned with ours, then we might feel as though buying from them will in some way align us with them and help to strengthen our sense of identity. And that's where stories come in. Many businesses will create a lot of marketing and advertising that is highly polished and staged. Products look perfect with ideal lighting and professional-looking backdrops, while the personality selling the product is never shown. We feel very detached from these kind of brands, which is why the average person doesn't exactly shed a tear when they feel that a big corporation is going bankrupt. This is even more true when it comes to selling B2B a lot of the time. This method is getting increasingly old-fashioned, though, as the company in question fails to build any trust, to demonstrate anything that would make it unique or stand out, or to demonstrate any personality. If you run an online business, then your Instagram account might have the same problem. It might well be filled with lots of stunning-looking images of products, or perhaps lots of inspiring quotes, or photos of your lifestyle that are designed to look perfect. This is the image you want to portray. And you know that by including even one unpolished-looking photo, you will make the entire account look less messy. But this is where the nature of the story is ideal. This is a temporary image that will never be included on your profile. That means you can include anything you like here, and in 24 hours, it is going to be gone. This in turn means you're permitted to peel back the curtain just a little and to show your followers how the sausages are made, so to speak. Stories can be the kinds of insights that you would never include on the main account, but that help to give you a little personality and help to make you seem much more approachable. Let's say, for example, that you are a high-profile lawyer. You could use stories to share aspects of your life, not only the travel and nice hotels, but also your preference in sandwich, your gripes with the queues at your bank, normal stuff. Likewise, a local business might share a story about a fun customer who came into their store, or about the parade outside that is driving away customers. They might even include a photo of their dog, or a short post about how they loved the latest Marvel movie. Things like that might not sound like strategies that would gel with traditional approaches to business, but that should be considered a good thing. This is not a traditional approach to business, but a much more modern strategy for improving relationships. These posts don't need to be on topic, but they do need to be on brand in as much as they should allow a side of you and your business that you want to be seen. In the next video, you'll see just how this kind of interaction can not only strengthen relationships, but also invite meaningful interactions that translate to sales. If you're worried about being too personal, then you can use this kind of behind the scenes to show you setting up the shop or your staff enjoying drinks out. What's even more effective, though, is if you choose to create a personal brand. Stories for personal brands. A personal brand essentially means a brand that puts the owner, that's probably you, front and center. Rather than promoting X company, you instead promote yourself as a sole trader. This doesn't necessarily reflect on the size of the company or even its structure. Most companies began as one or two people. It's rather a conscious decision early in the business's life to push the individual. And for all the reasons we've discussed, this is a very powerful thing. So instead of being RX Plumbing Limited, you might instead be John Dandy and Company Plumbing. The difference is that the John Dandy is a person that you feel you can know rather than a faceless company. Even if you never deal with John Dandy, the implication is that he's there, and that if you had a serious complaint, you could talk with John Dandy. And this opens up huge potential for marketing that otherwise would simply not exist. You can now, for example, do a live Q&A with your followers, and they can actually speak with the owner of the company. Likewise, you can show them some of the homes that you've listed and how you've helped them, and they'll not only get to see a demonstration of the great service you can provide, but will also get to see even more of your personality. Have you ever found that one plumber or electrician who you know does a good job and who you know will turn up on time, and then you never feel the need to use anyone again? What if you could become that service provider, even without ever having met the customers yet? Stories for social media influencers. There is one more group that should definitely sit up and take notice of stories: social media influencers. Scratch that. Most influencers are already all over stories because they know just how important they are. The group that should get involved, then, is the aspiring influencers group. The people who want to become influencers but haven't quite got there yet. And this goes for bloggers too, because like it or not, you're essentially just an old-fashioned type of influencer. An influencer is someone for whom the personal brand is the business. That's someone that inspires, entertains, or educates an audience to the point that the audience trusts their recommendations implicitly. The creative doesn't necessarily sell a product of their own, though they may. But they have so much clout that they can generate huge amounts of cash from simply wielding their influence. For example, did you know that the going rate for a sponsored post on an Instagram account with 200,000 followers is $1,000? On YouTube, it's $1,000 for every 100,000 followers. That's big when you consider that there are plenty of accounts out there with over 1 million subscribers or followers. That in turn equates to $10,000 for a single post. On Instagram, it takes about 2 minutes to post an image. In other words, then, the potential ROI for a successful social account is gigantic. And how do you get to that point? Using stories is an absolutely essential way for all the reasons we discussed. It lets people come along on your outings and feel that they know you, that they're part of your story.